That would probably help if I pulled myself into the screen. So that's the fun part about live, everybody. So thank you for joining me this evening and coming along on the show. I do appreciate everybody that comes and helps me share my guests and share this forum that I enjoy doing every single day. So, you know, all the gratitude in the world, everybody. Thank you so much. This has really been a blessing. And man, I love doing this every day, and I love getting guests on here that I think have a message, add value, and just share their stories and experiences with everybody. So thanks, guys, again for joining me this evening. So let's get started with get the particulars out of the way that I usually do before every single show. So guys, um, if this is your first time watching the show, you can watch us live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. We are trying to build our viewership there. It allows us to do a few extra things and be a little bit more creative with our channel. So do that. Hit the notification button. It'll let you know whenever we go live. It'll send you reminders whenever we upload new videos. So again, thank you if you're watching on YouTube. You can add in the comments there. We can interact while we're doing the show this evening. And again, we're also streaming live on other platforms. So if you're watching us live on Twitter, we're streaming through Periscope. So you can follow us there at MFSB Live. We're streaming live there, same sort of deal. You can drop in the comments there. We'll be able to interact and connect with everybody. So man, I would appreciate it if you guys are watching on Twitter, go ahead and drop a comment in there. And then again, you can also follow us on our Facebook page. It's of the same name, at Made from Scratch Broadcast. So you can go there, you can interact, you can watch it live there. And of course, we are now streaming on LinkedIn Live. So you can follow us on LinkedIn. And that is actually from my page at Gabriel Leal there. So you can connect, send a message with me. Who knows, if you want to be interested in coming on the show, drop a message, direct message me. We'll go from there. So appreciate everybody that joins along there on LinkedIn. And of course, you can check us out on our website, and that is at www.madefromscratchpodcast.com. We stream live there as well. You can also find past episodes. You can find links to our podcast version of the show. We also have a live streaming radio station where we do play music and episodes of the podcast. So we got all our basics covered, everybody. So thank you for again joining along, and I already have people hopping in. So Brooke Gelfand, thank you so much for joining already. So guys, let me get into this evening's guest. And man, he was actually on my friend Russ John's show this morning. So he's kind of doing the he's kind of doing the double, which is pretty cool. I love the fact that he's being on the show with me, and he got to be on with Russ, and he got to kind of experience a little bit what it's like to be actually live and doing the being interviewed, and then just getting the interaction and building the conversation. So it's always fun to do that. And guys, help me introduce to the show Russ DeSomer. Hey, Russ, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. I'm sweating death a little bit here, but
that's okay, right? It's all right to sweat a little bit. It's I get the fact that sometimes we do get a little bit nervous. Couple butterflies. I still get those, and I've been doing this now for almost 50 episodes. So if I'm still catching butterflies, I know somebody who a couple of people who haven't done too many of these, they do get a little bit nervous. So
well, like you said, I'm a pro now. This is my second show. I'm not nervous about that. I'm just sweating because it's hot in the house.
Well,
I've got two windows open, so you might hear some of the neighborhood kids screaming outside. But
hey, that's fun though. That's the best part about doing live streaming. You get everything that goes along with it. So I've had loud banging noises. I've had an actual guest have their cat jump in the screen and kind of like right in front of the camera. So it's all part about doing it. So I'll always enjoy doing these live interviews. So it's for me, this is the best part about it. So if I get the kids screaming, if I get, of course, like we were talking about, I've had my dog go nuts on an episode with Brian Schomer. So again, it just happens, and we take it for what it is. So let's start talking about you. So those who might be a little bit unfamiliar with you, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, Russ, and what you do.
Well, I do lots and lots of things.
Okay.
Right now, my job is electronic data engineer, and I work for a bank here. And I've been doing that for a really long time. And the problem that I'm running into is the fact that I'm way more than than what's on my resume.
Yeah.
And so I've been working, and I'm really good at my job for the last 15 years, but I want more. And the problem I've always been in is I'm one deep in my 1 to 2 deep. And so there's nowhere for me to really go.
Yeah.
And so I want to use my skills, and I want to mentor people, and I want to be a problem solver and think. I'm already a problem solver. I do that in every job that I do, and I have for the past 25 years. But I want to do it on a grander scheme, I think is what it is. So
there you go. So you're expanding your reach there. That's awesome though. So again, we don't always start out and plan for our journeys this way, right? Life of course always throws us zigs and zags, and we just have to deal and adapt with them. So I'm sort of the same sort of thing, right? I have a regular job as well. I tell everybody I'm a delivery driver. So if you've ever seen any of my videos where I was live, where I was doing LinkedIn videos and that sort of thing, I was always in my uniform in my work truck. So no shame there. But again, that doesn't define us, right? We reach out and we do these other things that, like what I'm doing now with live streaming. So creating a forum and a way to reach out to people. So it's awesome that you're doing that. So tell us a little bit more about, one of the things that I was interested in that you were talking about was the daily gratitude journal challenge. I do. I've been a big journaler since I was 17 years old. I've journaled for a long time. So I love the fact that you're doing this and putting it out there, because again, it is a great way. And, maybe not right now in immediate impact, but when you go back and you pull a journal that you've written 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I go back and I pull back some of these pages and I've written some of the things that I did and I read where I was in life, I go, wow, I'm glad I've changed. I'm not that person anymore. So tell us a little bit more how you got started doing this journal challenge.
Yeah. So if we back up, so you need a little backstory to understand how I got here.
Okay.
And so I grew up in a pretty typical dysfunctional family. There were 3 kids. My parents hated each other. They stayed together for the kids, even though we knew they hated each other. So I grew up with zero structure. And even though I had both parents, I pretty much raised myself. And like I told Russ this morning, the only rules that I had were let us know where you are and keep your pants zipped. I had no curfew. I had nothing. I just had to raise myself, and I had zero structure. And so when I was 19, I went on a mission for my church to Portugal. And I also had a raging case of undiagnosed ADHD. And so I had zero work ethic modeled for me. I had ADHD. And so I just did whatever I wanted to do. And so I was not a super effective missionary. I still went out there and I showered love on the people of Portugal. And, I know I made a difference.
Yeah.
But I could have been way more effective had I, just put just a little bit of effort into it. And the only thing that got me through high school is that I've got an above average intelligence. And so I coasted through high school, barely doing any homework. I even skipped my French final because I just didn't want to take it. And I still got a B- from your final GPA. So
that's crazy.
So shortly after I got home, I met my beautiful wife, and that was 28 and a half years ago. And so she was young, I was young, we got married, and I was super immature and completely narcissistic because that's all I ever knew. I only knew how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to take into consideration the feelings of other people. I didn't know how to do any of that. And so we've been through lots and lots of ups and downs, highs, lows, and it's only been the last year that things finally came to a head, and it was really, really, really bad for a while. And we almost got divorced, and she prayed for me. I mean, she prayed for a miracle. Her and my children, I have 6 kids, and her mom, they all prayed for a miracle. Oh, wow. And things started happening slowly. We got some counseling and things were getting better. And then I slipped back into old routines.
Yeah.
And then things got worse again. And it actually took a conversation between her and my son. And they kind of compared notes because they both had pieces of the puzzle. And once they finally compared notes, they realized that when I start getting bad and going down that rabbit hole, it's because I've got some big grand scheme that I'm cooking up. And when other people are not engaged and they aren't saying rah, rah, Russ, then I start resenting them and I start getting, bitter and resentful. And even though I've always had that big heart and I've always wanted to do the right thing, it just always seemed to end up turning out not right. So now that I understand that, I do things, and I try to do things on a daily basis to help me keep centered and keep grounded and keep from seeking after those accolades that I'm addicted to.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn can be dangerous, and my wife does have concerns, but I've assured her that the way I'm doing it is different this time.
Yeah.
And I'm after engagement. I'm not after numbers. The numbers feel good. Yeah, when I get 1,000, views on a post that I do, it feels good. But what's more important to me is the engagement I'm getting from people. Yeah. And so that's kind of where the Daily Gratitude Journal Challenge started. I was writing my 3 things I was grateful for at night.
Yeah.
And I posted that on one of my posts, and my friend Sherry Luke said, try doing it in the morning and watch your life change. So I'm like, that's interesting. So I was seeking after content because I've been active on LinkedIn for about 6 weeks now, and I needed something for content. So I'm like, well, let's kill 2 birds with one stone. So I started 34 days ago, I started the Daily Gratitude Journal Challenge, and I've been writing every single day, even if it's just my 3 things. Every day I post it. Yeah. And my relationship with my children is better. I'm calmer at home. Everything is just more even.
Yeah.
And it's obviously not just the challenge that's done it, but that's how I start my day. And that kind of sets into motion the rest of the day, which then allows me to do the things that I need to do.
Yeah. So I love that. Because again, I love challenges. That's been the theme of my year, is to challenge myself in every single aspect of everything that I do. So, you see the power of what connecting on LinkedIn can do. You see, this is the difference, right? I've been on other social media platforms. I've interacted on Facebook. I did blogging through Facebook. I've done Instagram. I've tried to be active on Twitter. Nothing has been like LinkedIn, where I get the engagement. You get people, and again, if you're trying to get numbers, man, you're in the wrong sort of game to be doing that. I don't have, here it is. here I am yet connecting with so many people, a lot of influential people there on LinkedIn, and I don't have that many numbers. I got 2,500 followers. But what it is that I love and what I do is connect with people. The engagement, getting in people's posts, reading people's stuff, understanding what they're trying to do, because again, I know what it's like, you know what it's like, right? And you get in there, and so many people are so warm and open and receptive. That's what's the difference. I think that's the kind of engagement that I get when I've been on LinkedIn, and so many relationships that I build, so many people that I've connected with, so many shows that I've been on where I've engaged with people while they're doing their live streams and that sort of thing. That's how I've made my way as far as building relationships with people that now are starting to blossom and open up. So, I didn't have any of this beforehand before I started reaching out to like Brian. Brian Shulman was one of the first ones who, there's so many of them. There's so many people, great people out there that you connect with. And I carry these relationships going beyond just what I do and have people on the show. It's why I loved Russ from the beginning in his show and what he offered. That community there, they are so open, so super supportive. It's one of the funnest things and one of the best things that's ever happened for me. So I do get it. People, you can get consumed in the numbers, and you can get overwhelmed with the attaboys and good jobs and that sort of thing. But I think it's part of the journey is learning how to humble yourself and realize that you may say these things about me, but I'm just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I am just another guy. I might have a big heart. I may have all these things, but it didn't happen like this overnight, and it took time. And this is the best form that I've found on LinkedIn. So I see why a lot of people really get on there and really start pushing. And of course, you get those people that have on there that, hey, I got 20,000 followers, I got 40,000 followers, I got all this and all that, right? And that's great. If that's what you're shooting for, awesome. I don't have any problem with you doing that. But if you're going there to look for real, authentic people and real authentic conversation, real authentic relationships, you can find that there. It's pretty simple, reaching out to people and connecting. So I love that you started doing this. And again, how many people, let me ask you, how many people have reached out to you since you started doing this challenge?
I've increased my following from 250 when I started to I just passed 1,000.
Exactly. Right.
So, and so it's interesting what you say there, and that totally resonates, because when I first started, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I want people to engage, and so I've found a couple of mentors on LinkedIn, and what's interesting is the things that they're telling me to do are the things that I'm already doing, because I'm not in this I'm not a Bitcoin or Forex trader trying to shyster people in. I'm not even looking for a job. I have a good job, and I'm here to spread a message of gratitude and empathy and compassion and love in a time when it's very much needed. And I feel very strongly that by doing that and showing that I'm this outside the box thinker and that I'm this creative person, by doing that and continuing to do that, the opportunity is going to find me.
Yes. It will show up at your doorstep and you won't even know it. You won't even see it coming. And I tell people all the time who want to learn how to do this this live streaming sort of thing. I said, you know what? Here's the thing. Before you jump on, before you get behind the camera, before you say these things, right? Have some sort of idea of what you want to talk about, what you want to share. My thing is creativity and positivity. These are the two things I like to bring together. And it's usually because these two things coincide with each other, right? Most people that are creative have a positive aspect on life because they have that sort of way of sharing self-expression and getting themselves out there. So I love bringing people on who are going to exude either one of those two things. So if they're really positive, man, I want you on. Yes, let's share that message. If you're creative, let's get on and talk about that because I love both aspects. And I do get that they're pretty, they're pretty general, pretty big topics to put out there. And one of the things that most of the people that you go watch on any of these social media platforms who are marketers, branders, that sort of thing. Hey, you got to have your niche. You got to have your audience, your target that you want to shoot for. Well, again, that's if you're going into business and that's what you want to shoot for, go right ahead. That's probably a good idea to have. But for me, this is a labor of love, and things are starting to materialize out of this that I didn't plan for. But again, it's that sort of thing, right? You get the message out there, and that's what you concentrate on.
And that's the thing that Sherry Luke said to me. She's like, forget about branding. Don't worry about branding. Just be who you are, spread your message, and you are your brand. And that's really important. And that's what I've done. And so I have a couple of things. I've got my gratitude and empathy and love, which all in order to do that, you have to be creative and you have to think outside the box. And that's where my whole blowing up the box comes from.
Yes.
Is you have to be outside the box because we want to kind of stay in our comfort zone. We want to stay in that little box and not change and be comfortable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't serve anyone, especially not yourself. No. And so we have to get outside the box. And so if you guys go check me out on LinkedIn, I just had a brand new banner built.
Yeah. I like that.
It's this gorilla who's dressed in a military uniform and he's blowing up a box.
Yeah. And I love that. I saw that and I go, hey, that's a pretty cool, that's a pretty cool banner to have. And I love the, I love that thing that blowing up the box. So I don't know if you have that as a hashtag yet. But
I do.
You're good. Start sharing that on everything that you do. So, people start following it. And again, the message is awesome. Because again, your title, right? Innovator. That's kind of like me. I love to innovate and push boundaries. So I mess around all the time with different configurations, doing live streaming and just testing things. And you know what? Not everything works, but how do you know if it is? If you don't push, if you don't try and test the limits and push the boundaries. So I tell people all the time, push and test your boundaries. I push people all the time. One of the ones that I have a really close relationship. I love this woman. She's so awesome. Her name is Sherry St. Marie, right? And Sherry's been pumping out content like crazy all over LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with her, please go check her out. But one of the things that we were talking about is I said, you need to start challenging what you're doing. You need to push out there and push that content out there because it's a message that people need to hear right now. And I don't care if they get sick of it because at some point it's going to start going in here and start sticking inside that mind and going, wow, she's just this. She is that ray of light. So that's the same message that I want to share with you is just to keep challenging it every single day. You've done 32 straight
34 days.
34 days of putting that journal out there. Keep it up. I get it sometimes that it's a stretch some days. Some days, I know because I did a blog for 6 straight months trying to do a daily blog. And that's kind of like doing this here every single day. So there's days you're like, you really struggle putting these things together sometimes. And then there's days where it's just like, I didn't even have to try. The message was already there. God gave it to me and I just put it down on paper or put it down on the screen. So I love the fact that you're doing that. Keep pushing it. People keep telling me, push. I love what you're doing. You're inspiring me which is what I hope I do to everybody else. I want to kind of like pay it forward, because again, this is kind of what you're seeing here is the culmination of like 7 or 8 people who have had as mentors along this way that I started a couple months ago on LinkedIn, just reaching out and sharing these things, and I'm taking advice from so many other people, and some of it I can instill every day. Some of it I'm taking small pieces and putting it into my unique blend. So, man, you're rocking it, bro, and I love the fact.
So far, I haven't had, because I just write what I'm thinking about. I write what I'm feeling, which makes it really, really easy.
Yeah.
And when you got 6 kids and a beautiful wife, you know, there's no lack of things to write about. And I've had so many experiences that there's tons. And I'm wondering if maybe because we talked about how my logo is a gorilla in a military costume. I'm wondering if some of your listeners are scratching their head, and other than the fact that I'm a huge hairy man, where the gorilla actually comes in. And that's where the business side of it ties in. Yeah. And I'm not pushing a business. I just, I'm a very spiritual person. And a few years ago, I was pondering, and I got this inspiration to write down basically this program where you go into a company at, you know, the behest of the owners, and you go in there and you interview everybody. And the whole idea behind it isn't to fire anybody. It's to get people speaking to each other, getting the workers and the managers on the same page.
Yeah.
I've done this. We actually did this out here in Salt Lake for a company, for the local 911 call center. And for those of you who listen to Russ's show this morning, you'll have heard this story, but basically they had 75% turnover.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're hemorrhaging money. It cost like $75,000 to train one of these people, and they were losing them all the time.
Yeah.
And so we went in there, and it was hard because they were angry and they didn't want to talk to us. But I've got the skill set where we talk first and then put them at ease. And we finally said, look, they want to know what's going on. So the more honest you are with us, the more we'll get to the bottom of it. And the biggest issue was the fact that whatever management promised, they never fulfilled. And people couldn't grow in the company because they had so much turnover, and it was just miserable. And so management was kind of shocked that was the case. And so we created a corporate university for them, which gave people a path up. And we shrunk it from 75 down to 25%.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of my first experience with this whole type of audit. Well, this inspiration I had was way more in depth, and it goes for everything. It goes with the IT infrastructure, HR, hiring practice, sales, everything. And the key is it's the workers that know how to make things work for you. And once you can get all of that lined up, you're golden and you'll prosper as a company.
Yeah.
And so I can't do all those things myself. I'm not an accountant. I can't look at the books. I'm an IT guy, but I don't know networking enough. And so my goal is to someday have my own team where we can do this for companies.
Yeah. And again,
and so I was talking to a good friend, and I told him what I wanted, and he came up with the perfect name for it: guerrilla auditing, because it's a sneak attack.
Yeah, you go.
That's where the guerrilla comes from.
Awesome. That's great, though. Again, you know that you're able to, you know, create. You know, you got to be. That's why I said the creative aspect of everybody, and the process. It goes beyond, again, writing a book or doing a painting or creating music. It's, again, being able to create that sort of program to connect with people. You just cannot. That's not easily done. If it would have been so easy, they would have just got Joe Blow off the street to come and do it. So you really have to have that creative skill set to put that out there and connect with people, understand people, and then turn around and be able to, again, produce results. I think that's one of the biggest things with it's kind of impressive is cutting it down from 75% to 25% and still, because again, turnover ratio, when you have those kind of problems, man, it is one of the worst things to have to deal with. Because again, yeah, the majority of your time and money is spent bringing in people, training these people, and then trying to get them to stay. So again, man, hats off for doing that. And let me ask you another question about, blowing up the box, right? So you're saying getting out of here and that sort of thing. So where did the actual language, or how did you say, you know what, I want to blowing up the box and putting all this together and putting how did all that start to formulate? Was this just an easy plan, or did it just come out of nowhere?
The actual phrase blowing up the box?
Yeah.
Well, everybody says I don't like being like everybody, and that's why I am who I am.
Yeah.
And so everybody says I think outside the box or whatever, but
Wow.
I don't want to just think outside the box, because outside the box can be just you can be standing on the box and be outside the box. And that's not enough for me. Yeah. I want to destroy the box. I don't want there to be a box. The box is limiting. And so you blow up the box.
There you go. Now that's how you come up with the concept, folks. And once you get it, run with it and stick with it. So now let's get into a little bit more about the creative aspect of what you do. So one of the interesting things that I heard you talking about, and when I started doing research on you, was you have built custom guitars.
Yes.
And kind of walk us how you, first of all, even come up with the plan of wanting to build them, and tell everybody exactly what you built them out of, because that's the other interesting aspect about starting something from quote unquote scratch.
Yeah. So, and when I saw the name of your program, I've got to get on Gabriel's show. It just lines up with what I do so well. A few years ago, it was Christmas time, and my wife said, I want to do something different for the kids for Christmas. I don't want them just collecting stuff. And so I said, well, how about I make guitars for everybody? And, I've wanted to make them for a long time. And she says, no, I don't think you'll have time. Which I later found out was wife speak for, no, Russ, they're going to be dumb. And so I wanted to do it anyway. So I found a source for cigar boxes, and lady on a local classified page had 5 of them for $20. And I picked them up, and the first one I did was a proof of concept. I said, okay, I want to build a guitar in an hour. And so I made a 1-string diddly bow, which was literally just a small, like 4x4x6 box with stick running through it and picture wire.
Oh, wow.
And super high action. You had to play it with a slide, but I did it. I made it in an hour.
Oh, okay.
And it's still fun to play. I broke my slide, but otherwise I'd still play it. But it's really fun to play. So, okay, I've got the first one out of the way.
Yeah.
So then I built a regular guitar, or a more traditional style guitar. And you can actually see pictures of these on Russ DeSomer Custom Guitars. The link is on here.
Yes.
On my Instagram.
Yes.
And so the second one I made, and I did it because I wanted to make all the mistakes. I wanted to get basically what I was going to be doing down. And so it played, but it wasn't awesome. But I got it done. So then I'm like, okay, I've got this down. Now I can actually build guitars. And so I built a 4-string dulcimer for my son. I built an ukulele for my daughter, who's now almost 15, because she was going to be learning to play the ukulele in school. And then for my youngest, I built her a 1-string little instrument. And they turned out surprisingly well. And that's kind of where it came from. And they loved them for Christmas. My wife was super surprised. It's when we brought them out for Christmas that she told me what it really meant, and that it meant that I thought they were going to be dumb, but she was pleasantly surprised. And so I've been making them ever since. And that was I think that was 2017, maybe, that I started making those.
Oh, wow, it's been a while then.
Yeah.
And again, that's pretty interesting too. And did the lady, whenever you bought these cigar boxes, did she even ask what you were going to do with them?
I think so. And I told her, and she kind of looked at me cross-eyed, and it's fine.
Probably had the same reaction as the wife, right? Like,
yeah, probably.
Like, what are you doing? So again, and you started out with an idea, right? You said, I want to build these things. This is why I said creativity, everything comes from scratch. It was just an idea, a vision. You put everything together. You say, you know what? I'm going to try this. And you put it out, and then bam, before you know it, it works. You're there it is. It's a reality. So I tell everybody that has an idea, whether it's building a guitar from scratch, starting a business, writing a book, doing a video, it's everybody has that interesting aspect about being creative. And it's one of the reasons why I love to share this show in this form with people, because again, we all have that need for creativity. I mean, who thinks of building guitars out of a cigar box? You'd
be surprised. You'd actually be surprised. There's a whole counterculture of people who build them.
Oh, wow.
And what's interesting about that is most of them build them pretty much the same way. And I've even blown up the box on cigar box guitars. I make them different than anybody else. And so let me kind of explain what that is. So this guy right here, this is my Hick Stick. And I call it that because it's made out of a piece of hickory. But if you look at that, it's just 1x2s that I bought from Home Depot. Oh, that's the way. And then they'll put, a heel right here, and they'll put them together, make it stronger. That's the way most people. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Look at that. We can look at all these. Gosh, those are pretty integrate. Look at that, man.
That one in the middle, that was my prototype one. That's the one that turned out I made all the mistakes on.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
The problem I was having is anybody who works with wood knows that wood is very temperamental, and it bends and is shaped the way it wants to be. And so I actually have one of those right here.
Look at that.
And those, I didn't build the necks on those.
Oh, okay.
But what's interesting is I'm glad that I bought these, because I've got a buddy, Mike Breedlove, out of Florida, who owns a company called MGB Custom Guitars. And he sells parts, and he sells really good quality parts for really well priced. Well, I bought some of these ukulele kits from him, and I learned that, so that one that you were just hovering over with the up one, oh, actually, that's the one I built for work.
Okay, let's see.
So the one up top left.
There you go.
That guy right there. So that one is the ukulele I built. The neck was really thick, and so I couldn't figure out why it was really hard to fret some of the chords. And so by buying this store-bought neck, now I know what better to do when I do build a neck for an ukulele. And so it's all about learning, and it's about pushing myself. Well, back to the story of building guitars differently. I didn't want to do them the same way as everybody else because I wasn't getting consistent results.
Yeah.
Because the wood would bend, and it does what wood does.
Yeah.
And so now what I do, this is my latest build, and it's so pretty.
Look at that.
So if you look at that headstock, it's actually, I flip the wood vertically.
Oh, wow.
And I laminate it together.
Look at that.
And I make a block, and then I carve the whole neck out of a solid block of wood. And I've got a couple of tools that make it work better. I've got a thickness planer. And so I square everything up nice and true. And so it is dead flat and dead straight. And it's a lot stronger. The one I just showed you, it's made of poplar. And so what I'm going to do for the next one, I'm actually in the middle of a build right now, is I got a piece of hickory for that center piece. So it acts like a truss rod because it's super, super hard.
Wow.
And so that's where I'm blowing up the box.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. Do you sell these things? Because they look like there's a lot of work and detail on them, but I'm pretty sure that there's a market out there for something like this.
So I've sold a few. I make them mostly because I like making them. The problem is there are a lot of people that make them, and you can buy them on Etsy, and they don't value their time. And so
Wow.
you can buy one for $150.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's a nice one. Some of them are really nice, and I know how long it took them to make that.
yeah.
And the materials cost them probably $30 to $35. So they think, oh, $150, I'm making a good profit margin. Not when you consider the 10 hours
Yeah.
to build it.
Right.
So the one I'm building now will probably take me 20 to 30 hours, and I'm actually building 3 guitars right now for Chantel Sumas. She is doing a fundraiser for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and I'm going to tag in the comments the link to that. And there's silent auction prizes. And so to back up a little bit, on that Instagram page, or that Instagram page, there is one that's a black guitar, and there's a beautiful story behind it. So nope, not that one. That's my ukulele. I think I put it on there.
Let's see.
Is that all of them?
That's
Oh man, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
I'm gonna have to upload that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I started taking these to work, and this is back when I didn't realize that I craved the attaboys and all the accolades, and I took them in because everybody oohed and awed, oh Russ, those are so cool. Oh, and it's embarrassing now that I think about it, the reason I did it. I still love that I did them, but there was one guy that I worked with who just loved them. I want one. And he it was coming up on Christmas time, and I knew he'd been battling lymphoma. And I went over to his desk, said, "Hey, where's Steve? I'm getting ready to start building some guitars, and I wanted to, know what he wanted to build, put in his order." And they said, "Well, he's not doing well." And so his whole team got together, and everybody put in $20, and then I donated the rest of the labor, and we commissioned a guitar for him. And it is, to date, it's one of the most beautiful guitars I've made. Well, this was still really, really early in my journey of building guitars. And so while it looks beautiful and it plays well, I've learned so much since then. And so as part of this Leukemia Lymphoma Society, I'm actually recreating that guitar with my updated skills. So,
and again, for a really great cause, Chantel's a wonderful person. I love everything that she's been doing for a very long time. I've been following her for a while, even before I was active on LinkedIn. I spent about a year lurking, not even commenting on stuff. I would just watch people's videos and doing that sort of thing until I finally just started jumping in back in late November. So that's great, though.
The build, I'm hoping I didn't just get myself in trouble on this build, because I thought I had till the middle of June.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Yeah, I need it. I need to have it in my hands by the 20th."
Wow.
And so of this month, or of June. No, May. Sorry, of May.
There you go.
Oh boy, that's not a long time. And so I have it glued up out there, and one of the things I'm wanting to do is run the strings through a slot in the neck, and it's not turning out exactly like I want it to.
Oh.
And so I've got to figure out a way around it.
Yeah.
The neck won't be totally ruined, but it would have to be a shorter scale guitar.
Yeah.
But I've got to really think, and I've got to blow up that box and figure out how to get around this, because it's not looking like I want it to look.
Hey.
And I want this to be perfect for her.
Yeah. And again, for a real worthy call. So yeah, just share the link with me and I'll put it in the notes and we can get it out there and people can connect to it. So Real quick,
Yeah.
Brooke had a question. She's like, do they all sound the same?
No, they don't actually. So the one that I showed earlier, this guy right here that's really skinny,
Yeah.
I actually built this one for backpacking. And so what you do is you take with you a FedEx box in
Yeah.
your backpack and double-sided tape, and it sounds like a full-size acoustic guitar.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of them, so you can hear, I can actually play a little bit for you.
There we
This
go.
one's just a regular ukulele, so it's coming out of a cigar box. That come through okay?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So that's an ukulele. Now you want to go all super fancy. You go electric.
There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Awesome. Wow. Well, Brooke, I hope that answers your question. I mean, if I can really tell the difference. And again, guys, these are made from cigar boxes. That's pretty impressive. So, Lori kind of put a comment in there. It's pretty funny. She says, "Wow." She says, "What can you do with a dead possum?"
I can cook it up and make a killer stew. I grew up in Texas, man.
That's right.
Have possum stew.
That's right. So Texas, again, Texas boy. I born and bred here. So that's another thing we have in common, right? Being in here in Texas and learning to have to deal with heat and animals and mosquitoes and all the crap that goes along with being out here. So that's awesome, though. I love the fact that you're doing these things and sharing your talent. And again, here you're doing something that you're going to share with Chantel and put this out there. And I think it's a really great way to take a passion that you're doing, right, creating these things, because again, you're not making tons of money off of these things, and it's time consuming, but getting to share it. And I hope that whoever's hands that guitar ends in knows that what went into it, and the passion and the work that goes into these sort of things, because again, they may think of it as just an inanimate object in it, but I think you see all the heart, the sweat, the time, and the efforts that you're putting in there, and again, like the frustrations that go into doing something like this, right? It's like getting the strings the way you want them, everything that you're putting in there. So that's awesome. Russ.
I've had actually people in marketing ask me why I'm not selling them, and it's part of it is because, like we said earlier, I'm not willing to give it away, but could I make a business out of this? Yeah, probably. But then it wouldn't be fun anymore.
Yeah.
And so the way I'm doing it now, and that's what I'm kind of hoping to, by giving these to Chantel, this is kind of a little bit of marketing for a side hustle for me. If people want them, then I'll sell them. It's not going to be cheap. She asked me, so what would you sell them for? So a straight acoustic is I'd sell for $400. A straight electric would be $500, and then an acoustic electric top of the line holy crap guitar would be $600.
Yeah.
And I've also designed a frame because I don't want these to just sit.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to just hang on a wall, because they are supposed to be playable works of art.
Yes.
Everyone is different. Everyone has love and blood, sweat, and tears. I sliced my hand open on my bandsaw the other day, and so it literally has blood, sweat, and tears in the guitar. So I've designed a frame that you can hang up on the wall, and so you take it down, you play it. When you're done, you put it back up on the wall.
There you go.
And so I'm actually giving one of those to Chantel as well. So this person gets a top of the line $750 killer guitar
and a stand and everything that goes along with it. That's awesome. And again, for such a worthy cause, man, it's amazing. And again, these are These are people, these are connections that we've met and made in relationships that we build on LinkedIn. So I still get people who aren't familiar with the platform. Whenever we do talk and I start saying, hey, are you on LinkedIn? And they go, no, I don't really use it that much for business. And I go, well, have you been on there in a while? Because it's no longer just a business website.
Right.
I mean, if you're going there to find business, yeah, it's there. But again, it's become an actual social media platform where you can go there and again meet interesting people, do these things, build these relationships, and again just put yourself out there, and wonderful things will start happening.
Yeah.
And
I
again,
did 6 weeks ago, even 8 weeks ago. I was just unsettled in my career path. This is before the whole coronavirus came to a head, and I knew I needed to do something more. And so I reached out to a good friend of mine, Tyson Chamberlain. Shout out to him. He's probably not listening, but I'm going to tag him in it anyway. He's a busy, oh my goodness, this guy is a busy man. Anyway, he's one of my best friends, and he used to be the guitar player in a band I was in for about 5 minutes. And I was the lead singer. He was the guitar player, or one of my guitar players. And I explained what I wanted, and I just want to get out there and I want to make myself known. What do I do? And he's like, you got to start networking.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how to do it. And so I found there's a LinkedIn. There was supposed to be a LinkedIn local here in Salt Lake. I signed up for. There is Silicon Slopes does a tech conference that I just missed here in Utah. And I missed these couple of things. And then coronavirus happened. Yeah. And so no longer am I able to do this. It's like, okay, I still need to do this. How do I do it? So I got on LinkedIn, and I started just writing. I mean, I've always written. I wrote a book called "What Not to Wear: A Modern Gentleman's Guide to Neckties."
Yeah, I saw that, and I go, that's awesome. Again, when I saw the book, I was like, wait a minute, that's Russ. I said, he wrote a book.
Yep. And so I've always written, and my wife I helped her get through college. She would write the papers, and then I would actually wordsmith them and make them take her ideas and put them and make them flow and be that much better. And so I love writing. It's like, okay, I'll start writing. And first I'm like, okay, I'll write, 1 or 2 things a week. And then as I started researching and learning about the algorithm and stuff like that, it's okay. That's when this 34 days ago, this daily gratitude journal challenge kind of materialized. It's like, that's perfect. That means I can write daily. I can post daily, which will help everything. And then I started learning about engagement and what I needed to do. And so I really try to be active when I have time on other people's posts, and not just cool or thumbs up, but I actually try to say things that are meaningful and engage, and it's all going to turn around. And so all the things I've read about making your post go viral, well, I don't really care about it going viral, but I want to reach more people so that they can engage.
Yeah.
They all say the same thing. Post good content every day. Use strategic use of hashtags.
Yes.
And the biggest one is interact with other people.
Yes.
And so for a little while, for about maybe 2 weeks, I was doing the Let's Connect challenges, just because I wanted to build a little bit of a base. And I didn't do them like other people do, where you go on there and you say, I'm open to connect, and then you connect with everybody else who says they're going to connect. I didn't want to get my connections that way. And so what I would do instead, which gained me about 25 a day, was I would, if they liked my comment, then I would reach out to them. Yeah. Or if they responded to me. So I would get about half of them from me reaching out to them, and the other half they would connect with me.
Yeah.
And so a few days ago, it's all started to pay off. And I've had some posts that I had one post when my daughter got married, and I did a little video montage the day that she got married, saying, my oldest daughter's getting married, and it was pictures of her all growing up. And that did pretty well. It didn't have a ton of hits, but it had a lot of interaction, and people were saying congratulations and all this. Well, the next day I put up a picture of her and her husband in their wedding, right there after they got married.
Yeah.
And I just heartfelt thank you to everybody who poured out their love and their support. I had over 1,000 views in under 2 hours on that post.
That's
and it's right now, I think it's sitting at 2,700 views. And so I'm starting to get the rhythm in there now. And so I don't have to go on those Let's Connect anymore. And so people are starting to see me, they're starting to understand, and they are reaching out to me. And I want the more organic connections. And that's why I did I don't see anything wrong with the Let's Connect, especially if that's what your goal is. If your goal is 30,000 connections, do it. Go for it.
Why not?
But mine is, I want people who are going to engage. And that's why I only connected with people who made the effort to connect.
There you go. I'm the same way. I choose quality over quantity any day. And the quality of the people that I connect with and the quality of the people that I interact with, they speak volumes about what I love to do and what I love to engage with people. So, man, that's awesome, Russ. You're doing all these things. You've written a book. You're creating guitars. You're going out and venturing out into, so many different things. So right now, I get that's the fun part about it for me. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. Is now I get to do this every day. I get to get up and try to make these connections and go out there and put these, these posts out there and just share who I am as a person. And as long as you're genuine, true, and authentic, that's going to come across and people are going to love it and they're going to connect and they're going to say, yeah, I love, I love connecting with Russ. He's a cool dude, cool person. All the stuff that he's doing is awesome. So, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're going to get a long way. You probably get further than me.
It's not what it's about, brother. It's about finding your path and going on. I did. What's interesting about that is was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I created a picture, and it's a zigzaggy line with an arrow, and then another one with the arrow that went straight up and down. And I said, what do these two pictures have in common? And the point of it is they're both going in the same direction.
Yeah.
And my path is not super straight, and it never will be. But I am moving forward. And as long as you're moving forward every day, just a tiny, tiny little bit, you're going in the right direction. And as soon as you stop reflecting and being grateful for what you have and seeing that, that's when you start regressing and going backwards.
Hey, yeah. And then again, this is awesome. I love that you're sharing all this. So, guys, before you know it, here we are. 58 minutes already. So quickly, it goes by so fast. So, guys, thank you for coming on the Russ, thank you for coming on the show. Guys, thank you for joining and interacting. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody who's been posting comments. I do appreciate everybody following along. And go check out Russ on LinkedIn. You can connect with him there. Send him a personal message. Don't do the auto thing. I hate that. Just a small little message telling you who you are and why you want to connect. You saw him on my show, or you saw him on Russ John's show, or you'll start seeing him around a lot more often. But connect with him. Really cool guy. Really great story. A lot of interesting things that he's doing. A lot of interesting things that he's doing out there. So, thanks again for coming on, Russ. I do appreciate you sharing your time with me and sharing it with my audience and sharing your story. So,
thanks for having me, Gabriel. I appreciate it.
We'll probably do this again at some other point. I'm planning on doing a second go around once I get past 100. So
sounds good.
Awesome.
We'll do it all about guitars next time, and I'll play.
There we go. We'll play, and I love that. So, guys, thank you again for following along on the show. Tomorrow, quick shout out to my guest. Pat Roquet is going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking about her rock star coaching and the things that she's doing and the interesting aspect of what she's sharing out in the world right now. So tomorrow, guys, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Pat Roque is going to be on the show. And then Friday, May 1st, I'm going to have a lot of fun bringing Russ Johns on my show. I've been on his. He's going to be on mine. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation because we love to geek out about live streaming and just so many other things. So thank you, everybody, for joining the show. Again, we'll post all the links in the show notes and everything else that you can go find out about what Russ is sharing with Chantel. And guys, if you ain't connecting with Chantel on LinkedIn, man, you're missing out. She is such fun. She's bubbly. She was actually on today with Brian Scholmer doing his distance. What was he calling it? Social distancing. So that was
yeah.
You should have checked that out if you haven't checked it out. I'm pretty sure the replay's up. Check out Brian as well. Cool guy, man, guys. If you guys aren't checking out with these people on LinkedIn, it's a ball of fun. It's tons of fun and connecting with these people. They're real, they're authentic. And yes, they might seem like they have huge numbers, but they're just people like the rest of us. So they connect and they share. And again, awesome. So guys, thank you again for for following along. I'll see you again tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Be safe, practice good social distancing, wash your hands, follow all the shelter-in-place orders, guys. We're going to get through this. Even though some of these states are reopening, please stay cautious. Still protect yourself. This is the real thing. And, again, we'll get through it together. So see you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Y'all have a great evening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah.